All right. So who are you guys? Who do you work for? And what have you thought about bulk fire?
Hey, I'm Nishanth. I work at Stellar Health on the product management team. Work closely with Jim here. I don't know, Jim, if you want to give an introduction, and happy to share a little bit about our use case.
Hi, yeah, I'm Jim Sullivan. I'm an engineering manager at Stellar.
But yeah, background context for us at Stellar Health. We are a value-based care provider enablement tool. We work with typically primary care practices that help them in delivering improved value-based care performance results through Stellar's insights and toolings. And as you can imagine, with the EHR being their source of truth for clinical records, it's essential that Stellar is aware of the latest clinical information around patients so that Stellar's care gaps are as accurate and up to date as possible too, so that when we prompt insights to providers, when a patient's coming or when they're doing proactive patient outreach, that we're truly delivering up to date, accurate information so that it's as impactful as possible. So to do that, we've been pursuing EHR integrations with our primary care practice providers and have typically been leveraging the individual FHIR APIs for some of the larger EHR vendors. And for some, it's been a easier experience where we're able to sync whatever relevant data we need to support our use cases and our users' workflows pretty efficiently, even for medical groups that are very large. But for other EHR vendors, we're running into issues with data sync speeds where it's starting to bump up against concerns that we're not able to sync the data that we need to sync ahead of our users' workflows. And we're needing to look at other solutions that can help us sync the data in times to most effectively support our users for the great work that they're doing.
Cool. Why didn't you consider bulk to start? Right, you said you're doing transactional fire. Like, did you not know about bulk? Was it you looked at it? Like, yeah, how'd you end up where you are doing now that you're hitting this point of breaking in some situations transactional fire?
So, disclaimer that this is from before my time at Stellar, but I seem to recall that we started with Athena, and the folks at Athena actually recommended against using bulk fire. If I recall correctly, it was recommended to us that we just use the fire endpoints and just hit them a lot rather than using bulk fire. We revisited the decision around whether or not to use bulk fire when we started integrating with ECW because we realized quickly that the ECW fire endpoints were slow to the point where the amount of data that we wanted to pull down from them, we could only pull so much at a time or else they would start timing out. That was kind of a cumulative effect where if they started timing out, then it was taking more time. So we quickly realized that there was a limit of how much data we could pull from ECW in a given time frame. And so we looked into bulk fire, but anecdotally, we heard from several sources that ECW's bulk fire capabilities were not great. That even with the since parameter where you're only getting the newest, latest changes, that could still take potentially days for that async process to return data, which does not meet our time frame. So we dismissed it. Full disclosure, we never actually tried it. So we dismissed it out of hand. We are considering again the possibility of maybe giving it a try to see if it could meet our needs.
No, I think that's right. As part of like being in the bulk fire Slack channel, Brendan, that you added us to, like we had a broader digital health community that we could tap into and learn from and share our own insights and experiences. And from talking to a bunch of folks, they too were not necessarily bullish in terms of like what their experience had been with bulk fire. So that gave us some qualms around sort of like going deep there, given that we wanted to get a great solution for our medical groups sooner rather than later. And we traditionally know that the individual FHIR API route is more reliable, more prevalently leveraged. And that's worked well for just getting started, where maybe we're pulling FHIR data for maybe a subset of all the care gaps that we need. And it's maybe for medical groups that are smaller. But as we get to all the care gaps and as we get to larger medical groups, like we already see the writing on the wall where we're going to have some tough trade-offs as it relates to trading off the user experience and like what they need for their workflows and what is possible with the individual FHIR APIs. So we're actively exploring in our Q3 road mapping, like what are alternatives to our current individual FHIR routes to future-proof our user experience and make sure that it's as great as possible once we get to the full set of care gaps and for larger and larger medical groups that we want to support and make sure that we have a great user experience for them as well.
Do you think, I mean, you guys have limited direct experience, but you've heard performance problems, you've heard reliability or quality problems that have almost act as pre-blockers to real blockers to make the investment for these things. Can you think of regulatory changes or policy that the government could implement to de-risk that for you, to make that an easier decision for the many, many applications in your boat, which either try bulk fire, hit something, and go back to a pattern, transactional fire that has more usage and thus gets through the kinks faster, or never gets around to trying it just because they're afraid of wasted investment.
It sounds like the regulatory piece might be like the first mover that would help make sure that we're able to have like a great experience and the broader community is able to have like a better experience. I think slightly we've been looking more at the lagging indicator of like, are we hearing positive results from the digital health community? Like when we talk to other folks that are using it, are they having a great experience? Can we learn from them so that we can have wisdom as it relates to like what we decide to make product investments in? So maybe it's a little bit of a both end where of course like we need to continue to push on this like first front of making sure that we're leveling up like our bulk fire capabilities so that the digital health community feels more compelled to do experimentation and to then get to the point where they're able to, yes, validate that there's a great experience and then sort of spread the gospel of, yes, we are having a great experience now. Other folks should begin more actively like pursuing it as well. And it is a worthwhile use of your product and engineering resourcing accordingly. I think that's like a way that you'll see more and more uptick of this bulk fire product, and then people will share that it's working effectively and you'll see more and more adoption thereafter. But I think we're probably not alone in that. Like some people are just hesitant to make the product and engineering resourcing and like invest in experimentation itself if we're already hearing from other folks that it's not a great investment today.
Right? There's a class of applications and products that are willing to go and fight through the growing pains, and there will always be growing pains. Like any integration technology has some quirks, but with this particular one, with more limited usage and alternatives via transactional fire, there's fewer people of that category. And so whether it's the first movers or regulators that enforce performance metrics or capabilities that allow for a better developer experience, that has to happen to unlock this class of application like yourself to use it when it's reliable and not just available. So for value-based care, for sort of the use cases that you're doing, the reason you need bulk, if I'm hearing correctly, is sort of the analytics layer of things that you need to pull mass data to run and to understand certain care metrics, quality metrics, things like that. Is that a correct statement or repeating of why bulk data is important to you?
Well, actually, I mean, when you say analytics, if you're thinking in terms of aggregate data, like we do analytics on our data, that's an important part of how we understand how we're helping the groups that we work with. But also, like the data itself, we fetch like clinical data for many patients. The purpose of that is not just to do aggregate data, but also so that for every provider who works with us, for every patient that they work with, they can see, oh yeah, we had an appointment on such and such date and we got this data and we should ask them about this particular care gap and we should follow up on that. So in addition to that sort of aggregate analytics perspective, we really do a lot with we just need a lot of data because we're talking about a lot of patients for a lot of groups.
Gotcha. Any other last thoughts or things you'd want to say about bulk fire, the bulk fire community, or what you're doing?
I will say that our use case definitely feels like a use case for bulk fire. Like I said, we need a lot of data. We fetch data in bulk, and right now, we don't use bulk fire because it doesn't seem, either we've been kind of recommended off of it, or we've heard stories about it. As a result, we've gone what has so far been the safe route of using regular transactional fire. If bulk fire was a famously reliable and powerful tool, then we would absolutely use it. There's no reason we wouldn't.
Gotcha. Well, thank you guys both for your time and your answers here, and excited to get bulk working so you guys can benefit from it and so many others can.
Yeah, thanks.
Talk to
Yeah.
you later.